are back with News 12. Our story is on the topic of women's rights in India. Quoted from The Atlantic, Indian society wants sons, heirs to the family name and its fortune, and somebody to look after them when the parents are old. Girls are a financial burden, their future marriages clouded by dowry payments that ruin families for decades. Now to Rachel for a special interview with a woman from India. What has happened in the past with women's rights and sexual offense?
Well, never in history of our struggle for women's rights we have seen such spontaneous outrage, especially amongst the young men and women. It's been whenever there is something like this happens, everybody will turn to the women's groups, organizations, to women. What are you doing about it? What is happening? And we are the ones who will be on the street asking questions, trying to get justice from the system. But this is the unprecedented anger. The way young is upset today has never been in the democratic history of India on sexual offense. So this is really a very, very heartening and I think very welcoming change that is happening in our society.
Why do you think these outbreaks are occurring, and what is being done about it, and what is happening because of it?
Well, the if you really go by statistical calculation, which is of reported cases, then every 20-25 minute one rape case gets reported. That is the latest figure. But because we run the programs for women in the community, in the rural areas across the country, we know that because of huge social shame, 10 out of 1 out of 10 the sexual offense cases get reported. People just keep quiet. They just don't want to put their girls into further trouble, because the system will take long. Police will ask uncomfortable questions. There'll be so much of social shame. Everybody will point finger to the girl. It's unique situation where the perpetrator of the crime is not shamed, is not socially ostracized, is not punished by the society. It is the woman who gets into this victimized and who suffers. Even this girl has given her life for this. It's the girls who get victimized. So I think that is something which is the way the system responds to, and that is why not many cases get reported. But what gets reported itself is huge.
So is there any story in particular that really struck you?
Well, this case is something which really, everything was right as far as this couple was concerned, this girl was concerned. People say, oh, be with a man in the, even one of our police commissioners said, that be with a man in the night. She was with her boyfriend. She was wearing, people blame the clothes of the girls. I mean, this is mindless, but people do it. And she was wearing proper clothes. She got into a bus, which anybody would do that to go home. So everything was right in the situation, and the brutal attack. And 6 men, I mean, like, they just, none of them had even the, slightest iota of mind where they could have said that don't do this to the other men. Nobody, everybody joined in, even a minor boy joined in brutalizing her. Now, this is totally unacceptable, and that's what has made every single human being who's of any conscience today very, very angry and upset.
Women's rights are being violated. Two major problems are women are sexually assaulted and women are forced to have sex-selective abortions. Survivors that are sexually assaulted are not speaking up because of pressure to give up the fight and social shame. Officials such as doctors and police say things such as, "Why are you crying? You've only been raped." In addition, the police are not registering complaints of sexual assault from families or survivors. The officials are making it so that the problem is reduced in the mind of the survivors, and in effect, the survivors don't speak up.
What's it like in public places such as a bus?
You can't laugh as loud as boys in the bus. You can't, be uncouth like boys in the bus.
Do you feel unsafe at any time in public places?
I'm actually feeling unsafe in late at night and going to watch a film somewhere. I would never do that. I can't dream of doing that.
Sumya takes special precautions in order to avoid being sexually assaulted. This includes putting the backpack on the front of her chest and hiding in the crowd. How do you act in public places?
Not trying to get any attention. You have to try your best to be invisible.
Thank you so much. From what I gathered from this interview, this problem will have a huge impact on India. The government has to increase the punishment for sexually assaulting women. A statistic shows that 70% of the tour operators in the first 3 months of 2013 reported that a number of bookings to the country had been canceled, especially from women in the United States, Britain, Canada, and Australia. These women were concerned with the security following several sex attacks that attracted global media coverage. This is Maddie, back to Emily.
This is a problem that needs to be addressed today for the obvious reasons of the women receiving their rightful rights back. So far, the government has passed laws that lengthen terms in prison for sexually assaulting someone, and if the victim of a sexual assault is in a coma or dead, the perpetrator is put on death row. For this problem to be solved, the government needs to start holding police accountable for registering complaints, improve the overall treatment for victims that includes medical and mental treatment, and pass more laws against sexual assaults.
It's just that the more educated and sophisticated we become, the more educated and sophisticated our ways of getting the girl eliminated become.
One of the problems that is occurring is that there aren't enough females for the males to have wives. Is anyone aware of that?
Issue is everybody agrees there have to be females, but nobody wants it in their own house.
So you raised 2 twins. How did your husband react to that?
My husband, he hates me. He wants to remarry because he wants to have sons, which I have not given him. So according to him, I was a useless wife. He wanted to throw me out. It was in the 6th week of pregnancy when I came to know that I'm carrying twins. Then the pressure started for sex determination test. That they wanted to know whether girls or boys, and that they can't afford 2 daughters. So if there are 2 daughters, I should abort them.
When she refused to have an illegal sex determination test, she says her husband's family fed her a cake with eggs, knowing she was allergic. She was rushed to the hospital where she says her husband and mother-in-law persuaded doctors to do an illegal ultrasound to find out the sex of the babies. To their dread, the twins are girls.
From that day onwards, the pressure started to get an abortion done or to get one of them killed.
To ensure she miscarried, Dr. Khurana says her husband and his family tortured her and deprived her of food until she fled to her parents, where she then gave birth.
Anyway.
When she was 4 months old, my mother-in-law threw her down the stairs.
The problem of sex-selective abortion starts when men are favored in India. This could potentially lead to competition between males over the women. Since women are being killed at birth or before birth, there aren't enough wives for the men when they grow older. The government is passing laws against sex-selective screening. However, many people ignore these laws. For this problem to be reduced, the society needs to slowly change to allow women in. There needs to be an enforced punishment for sex-selective abortions and domestic violence by the perpetrator. Many women are being beaten and tortured for carrying their daughters in the womb and not getting an abortion. This is Maddie.